Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. You know that strange ache in your chest when someone you want suddenly goes cold? That sharp, sinking feeling when she looks at you like you're invisible. Yet something in her eyes trembles, just for a second. That's the moment most men miss. The moment that reveals everything she's trying so hard to hide. And before we dive in, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button, because what I'm about to tell you is the kind of truth that changes how you see women forever. She pretends you don't exist because she's fighting herself. She's wrestling with feelings she didn't plan for, didn't invite, and definitely didn't want to show you. Men often assume a woman's indifference means she's done, but detachment looks very different. What you're seeing is emotional overload, dressed as distance. When a woman feels drawn to you but doesn't feel safe yet, safe emotionally, safe in her own identity, safe in her vulnerability, she'll pull away from the very thing she wants. You become the danger, not because you did anything wrong, but because she suddenly sees how deeply you could matter. And here's where the slip happens. It's never grand. It's never dramatic. It's subtle. A look that lingers half a second too long. A question that comes out too softly. A moment where she forgets to keep her guard up. When she's truly uninterested, there's no tension, no irregularities, no accidental softness. But when she's falling for you and trying not to, her behavior becomes inconsistent. She acts like she doesn't care, but her instincts betray her. That's the slip, and that tiny fracture in her act is more honest than anything she'd ever say out loud. She might avoid your eyes 1 minute and scan the room for you the next. She might respond dryly to your message, but reread yours 3 times before replying. She might pretend she's unbothered, but her body language tightens when another woman gets your attention. These shifts aren't random. They're the unconscious signals of a woman caught between desire and fear, attraction and self-protection. Most men chase the coldness, trying to warm it, but the key is seeing the slip for what it is. Proof of feeling, proof of conflict, proof she's not as detached as she wants you to believe. And when you understand that, everything about how you move next changes. There's a specific moment every man experiences but rarely recognizes. The moment she tries to step away from you emotionally, and yet everything about her behavior steps closer. It's confusing, right? One day she's warm, curious, playful, and the next she's distant, silent, acting like your presence barely registers. But here's the truth most men never hear. When she suddenly shifts into pretending you don't exist, she's not trying to push you out. She's trying to protect the part of herself that's already leaning in. Women don't fear men they don't care about. They fear the ones who could actually affect them. So when she begins acting cold, that's often the moment her emotions have already crossed the line she was trying to hold. She feels herself getting pulled toward you, not because of something you said, not because of something you did, but because the connection is becoming real in a way she didn't mentally prepare for. And real is scary. Real means she could lose control. Real means she could get hurt. So she builds emotional distance as a shield. But the body, the voice, the micro-expressions, they don't play along with that shield. They leak her truth. And it's those leaks, those slips, that tell you exactly where she stands. Watch the way she asks questions that seem casual but are actually emotional temperature checks. So, who were you with? How late were you out? You seem different today. She'll frame it as curiosity, but it's really fear wrapped in interest. And pay attention to how her tone changes when she talks to you compared to others. There's a softness she can't fully hide, even when she's trying to be flat. Or maybe it's the opposite. Her voice gets slightly tense, like she's trying too hard to keep things neutral. That tension is not neutrality, it's contained emotion. Another slip shows up when she accidentally mirrors you. Your posture, your rhythm, your expressions. Mirroring is unconscious bonding. A woman who feels nothing does not mirror you. A woman who is falling against her own plans will. Then there's the jealousy she doesn't want you to notice. She'll look away quickly when she sees you talking to another woman, but her shoulders stiffen, her jaw tightens, her breathing shifts. She'll pretend she didn't see anything, but her body already reacted. These tiny moments are the real confession. The slip isn't in her words. It's in everything she's trying not to reveal. And once you can read that, You stop chasing her attention and start understanding her emotions with clarity men rarely access. Here's something most men completely misunderstand. A woman pretending you don't exist is not rejecting you. It's a test. And it's not a conscious test she sits down and plans. It's a psychological reflex. She's measuring something far more important than attraction. She's measuring your awareness, your patience, and your ability to handle her complexity. Men mistake coldness for indifference, and that's the exact trap she's relying on. If you misread it, you act needy, desperate, or pushy, and that confirms her fears. But if you understand it, if you can see the slip behind the act, you gain clarity few men ever will. The first truth, when she acts like you don't exist, it's because she's afraid of what exists. She feels the pull toward you, but deep down, she's worried she's losing control of her own heart. So she overcorrects. She withholds attention, ignores messages, pretends casualness. But the body betrays her. She laughs a beat too long at something you say. Her gaze lingers on you when she thinks you aren't watching. She fidgets when you're near. These small, seemingly irrelevant details are the cracks in her wall, the cracks where her real feelings seep out. The second truth, the slip is rarely verbal. Words are armor, actions are honesty. A casual touch, a foot angled toward you, a sudden glance, a pause before speaking. These are her unconscious confessions. She is literally caught between what she wants and what she thinks she should do. And the moment she slips, it's a moment of raw vulnerability, even if she immediately masks it. The third truth, timing matters. These slips rarely happen at random. They occur in moments of emotional intensity, laughter, mild teasing, subtle frustration, or moments when you're distant yourself. Why? Because intensity forces the unconscious to reveal itself. And this is why you see her slip more when you're calm, confident, and unshaken. Your stability draws her in while she struggles to maintain her facade. And here's the harsh, empowering part most men never realize. Noticing her slip is power. Not manipulation, not games, power. You don't have to chase, plead, or convince her. You simply observe, interpret, and respond with your own emotional intelligence. A man who recognizes these slips and knows what they mean immediately separates himself from 90% of other men, because most men don't see them, most men misread them, most men panic. But you'll understand the language she can't speak aloud. And this is where the shift happens. Once you see the slip, you stop trying to earn her attention. You stop believing distance equals rejection. You see it for what it really is, a doorway into her hidden attraction, her conflicted desire, and the truth she cannot say. Now listen carefully, because this is where most men either ruin everything or unknowingly deepen her attraction. When she pretends you don't exist, your instinct might be to demand clarity, to ask what changed, to pull her back toward you. But the psychology here is counterintuitive. Her silence isn't asking for pursuit, it's watching for composure. She's observing how you respond when she removes emotional reassurance. And the way you move in that space tells her everything about your inner strength. A woman who is slipping emotionally feels exposed, so she creates distance to regain control. If you rush toward her anxiety, you confirm her fear that emotions equal chaos. But when you remain grounded, calm, and self-directed, something powerful happens inside her. Her nervous system begins to settle. She starts associating you with emotional safety instead of emotional threat. And that's when her guard weakens, not because you pushed, but because you didn't. Another slip appears here, and it's subtle but revealing. She re-engages indirectly. She might react to something you post. She might ask about something unrelated, just to reopen the channel. She might suddenly be around you by coincidence. These are not accidents. They are safe probes. She's testing whether connection still exists without her having to openly admit vulnerability. And notice this. When she does reach out, she often underplays it. Short messages, neutral tone, casual questions. But underneath that restraint is anticipation. She's waiting to see if you'll overinterpret, overinvest, or stay centered. A man who stays centered, who responds warmly but without urgency, creates a psychological contrast that pulls her closer. You become the calm presence she can't quite explain, but deeply feels. This is also where her internal conflict intensifies. She wants closeness, but she also wants autonomy. She wants you to notice her, but she doesn't want to feel exposed. So she oscillates, one step forward, one step back. And every time she slips, every time her interest leaks through, she's revealing that the emotional bond is growing, not shrinking. What you must understand is this: attraction doesn't grow in pressure. It grows in space where safety exists. Her pretending you don't exist is her way of creating space. Your job is not to fill it with noise, but to hold it with strength. When you do that, something shifts inside her. The pretending becomes exhausting, the slips become more frequent, and eventually the act collapses. Not because you demanded truth, but because she no longer needs to hide from it. And that's when the dynamic changes completely. There comes a point where her pretending stops being a strategy and starts becoming a strain. Emotional suppression is exhausting, and when a woman is falling while trying not to, the mind can only hold the line for so long before the heart begins to speak louder. This is when the slips become clearer, more frequent, harder to dismiss, not because she wants them to happen, but because her emotional energy is shifting away from defense and toward connection. You'll notice she starts remembering small details about you that she has no reason to remember. Things you mentioned once, casually, weeks ago. A preference, a frustration, a future plan you spoke about without thinking. Memory is emotional investment. The brain does not store irrelevant information with care. When she recalls these details while still acting distant, that contradiction is a loud signal. Her attention has already chosen you, even if her behavior hasn't caught up yet. Another slip shows up in concern. Not dramatic concern, quiet concern. She asks if you're okay. She notices when your tone changes. She reacts when you pull back slightly, even if she was the one creating distance before. This reversal confuses many men, but it's deeply revealing. It means the emotional bond has reached a point where the idea of losing connection now triggers discomfort in her. And discomfort is the birthplace of honesty. You may also see her values soften around you. Opinions become less rigid, judgments become less sharp. She listens more closely. She becomes curious about how you think, not just what you do. That curiosity isn't accidental. It's intimacy forming beneath restraint. A woman who feels nothing does not seek to understand you. She categorizes you and moves on. A woman who is falling wants context, depth, emotional orientation, even if she pretends she doesn't. And here's the critical part. She starts revealing pieces of herself without realizing it. Small vulnerabilities, subtle insecurities, stories she doesn't usually tell. These are not slips of attraction. They are slips of trust. And trust always precedes emotional commitment. At this stage, many men sabotage everything by pushing for labels, certainty, or validation. But the strongest move is restraint paired with authenticity. You stay open without chasing, present without pressure, interested without urgency. That emotional steadiness gives her permission to stop fighting herself. Because deep down, she doesn't want to pretend you don't exist anymore. She wants relief. She wants alignment. She wants to feel safe choosing what her emotions already know. And when that happens, pretending ends, not with a confession, but with consistency. Now you need to understand the final truth, the one most men never see until it's too late. When she slips, when her walls falter, and when her pretending cracks, it's not just attraction, it's emotional surrender. This is the stage where she is quietly, unconsciously acknowledging that you matter more than her fear of exposure. And the way you handle this moment determines whether she pulls closer or recoils again. You'll see it in micro behaviors first. She lingers in conversations even when she could leave. Her laughter becomes genuine, not performative. She starts sharing opinions she normally keeps private. She initiates contact subtly, testing whether the bond she's been suppressing is safe to explore. Every small act is a quiet confession. She's drawn, engaged, invested, yet still cautious. And that caution is not resistance, it's survival. Women instinctively protect themselves from getting too close too fast. Your calm, steady presence reassures her that proximity no longer feels dangerous. The next level of the slip is emotional alignment. She mirrors your moods without realizing it. When you speak, she absorbs the tone and energy of your words. When you express calm confidence, she relaxes into it. When you reveal subtle vulnerability, she reflects concern, not discomfort. This alignment is unconscious bonding, a psychological echo that proves she is connecting to you at a level deeper than words. Men often miss this because it's quiet, invisible to the impatient or the insecure, but it is the clearest proof of falling. Finally, watch her consistency. A woman truly falling will test her limits in safe ways. She may pull back one moment, then engage fully the next. She may tease, challenge, or question you. These behaviors aren't rejection. They're invitations to see if you remain grounded, composed, and unwavering. Her emotional testing is a sign of attachment, not detachment. Every slip, every subtle emotional confession is her way of saying, I want this connection, but I need to feel safe committing to it. And here's the lesson few men grasp. Attraction is not a battle of persistence. It's a game of presence, patience, and psychological insight. When she slips, you do not chase recklessly. You observe, you respond thoughtfully, you maintain your equilibrium. That is magnetic, that is power. That is how you turn her pretending into genuine attachment. Because in the end, the woman who acts like you don't exist is not rejecting you. She's revealing herself. Every glance, every hesitated word, every small gesture is a window into her growing emotional surrender. And the man who sees, understands, and moves with that truth, he doesn't just win attention, he earns connection at the deepest level she can give.